Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining our webinar today. This is a really exciting topic that we're going to cover today. We all know in the life sciences that biotech companies and pharma companies, make the world a healthier place. But today's topic is going to do a deeper dive on how can we make it a cleaner place. I'm really excited to have Kimberly-Clark, professional in Thermo Fisher Scientific and Millipore Sigma, joining us today in this conversation. My name is Craig Carew. I'm the Director of Strategic Supplies here at MassBio. I oversee the day-to-day offerings of the MassBio Edge program. I want to kick it over to Kristen Roosevelt from Thermo Fisher Scientific and Fisher Scientific, our industry director, to kind of talk a little bit about the MassBio partnership.
Thank you, Craig. I'm Kristen Roosevelt, as Craig mentioned, industry director with Fisher Scientific, and I do manage the relationship between MassBio and Fisher Scientific. You're going to advance the slide, Craig.
John, can you advance? There you go.
There we go, perfect. So you guys can follow along. I'll just take about a minute or less and focus on the MassBio Fisher Scientific partnership, which Kimberly-Clark is part of that partnership. Currently, we do have a contract valid through 2024, which offers the MassBio members extensive discounts at both the supplier and product level. Within each member company, we do have the ability to customize hot lists based off of your high volume products, and that is in addition to the MassBio hot list that is offered to the members. We also support the absorption of all transportation charges for standard deliveries, and then partner with many companies to offer e-business solutions for punch-out support to our website, which again supports all of our products and suppliers from an information standpoint and ordering standpoint. We also offer our members incentives that are paid annually. We just finished that cycle in May of 2020 that affords additional pricing benefits to the members. Within our teams, we do have dedicated sales representatives as well as technical product specialists. And within this environment, we do have safety specialists that partner with the Kimberly-Clark team to offer that additional level of support relative to PPE and many products beyond PPE. To support new lab startups, we do have a new lab startup program as well as a product optimization program that focuses on standardization within the given account. And then lastly, leading into the topic for today, at Thermo Fisher Scientific, we are committed to sustainability, and we do have a grouping of products designated on our website as green leaf products, meaning that there are many elements into how we qualify those green leaf products, whether it's the way that they're manufactured, the way that they're packaged, the way that they're shipped to you, or the way that they're potentially recycled, which also ties into the Kimberly-Clark program. Next slide. Just from a very high level, when we look at sustainability, we really bucketize everything from a Thermo Fisher Scientific perspective into the 6 categories that you see here. So reasonable sourcing, how are we sourcing those raw materials? How are we manufacturing those products? How are we shipping and packaging items to get to your laboratories? To the left of this slide, what are ways that we can focus on, green chemistries and technologies? And then how do we handle the product life cycle from refurbishing and recycling programs, as well as the designation of green products, which you'll see that evolution of more products being designated as green on our website as we proceed in 2020. Next slide. So as a statement from our president and CEO, Mark Casper, we are committed to serving our customers in ethical and sustainable ways. Not only do we provide innovative solutions that help meet their sustainability goals, but we're also reducing our own environmental impact. And our mission at Thermo Fisher Scientific is to enable our customers to make the world healthier, cleaner, and safer. Next slide. Within our own facilities, we do have 14 facilities designated as zero waste and 6 designated as LEED facilities. And again, this is an area that we partner with Kimberly-Clark on how we handle the waste from our facilities which Casey will touch on later in this deck. So I won't spend much more time on our stats. You can see what's listed here, giving ample time for the team to cover their content. I will lead in with introducing two of our peers at Kimberly-Clark, John Opstein, who is the Global Waste and Recycling Program Leader at Kimberly-Clark, and Dan Locke is the Global Sustainability Product and Packaging Leader.
Great, excellent. Thanks, Kristen, for that introduction. So my colleague Dan and myself will take you through a few slides here summarizing some of our innovative approaches for reducing our plastics footprint and introduce you to a little bit about Kimberly-Clark as well. So who is Kimberly-Clark? Kimberly-Clark is a global company. We provide essentials to both consumers and customers around the world. You might recognize some of the consumer brands here, Kleenex, Cottonelle, and Depend. And some of the interesting factoids here in terms of our reach, we touch a quarter of the world's population with our products each day. And the other one here that's really exciting to share with you is that we're within 2 years of our 150th anniversary as a company. So there, just to touch on some of the consumer brands, here's a view of our KC Professional business, which many of you are familiar with as well. KCP offers some of the same consumer brands that I mentioned before, Scott, Kleenex, and Cottonelle, but also offer well-respected safety and scientific brands like Wipeall, Kimtech, and KleenGuard. So that's just a real quick intro into Kimberly-Clark. Now we'll take a little bit more time to dig into our overall sustainability goals and specifically drill into our plastics footprint. So most of us on the call work in industry, and this image from Ellen MacArthur Foundation is probably a good reflection of how we approach the challenge of waste management. We think about materials coming into a production facility, we make and convert things, and then we have output, which is what the product itself and as well some waste. Thinking about that waste, we often apply the 3 R's. We've been using the 3 R's, the reduce, reuse, recycle, for decades, and applied it to our operations within our 4 walls. And we've made a lot of progress with those 3 R's. Waste reduction has come with improved production and material efficiencies, and oftentimes comes with cost savings. Many of us have also adopted zero waste to landfill goals. Kimberly-Clark's no different. Our global footprint, we're currently in our last mile journey of our goal, and are currently over 97% landfill free as a company. But the key takeaway here is we think about the global issues around plastic packaging, for example, which is depicted in this graphic. And now beginning to think about all those learnings we've had from reducing waste and reusing and recycling and diverting from landfill, and applying that zero waste mindset to the products and packaging at the end of their lives, where we can begin to help our consumers and our customers with the issues that arise from use of the products. That's how we see it, but the world doesn't necessarily see all of that. They're more accustomed to these images around plastics, and probably worth noting that this is the material that they can see. Smaller microplastics are even a bigger problem. Hearing statistics like by 2050, plastics in the ocean will outweigh fish. Those are sobering statistics that remind us as to the scale of this issue. So the reality is we haven't effectively tackled this challenge, the management of the waste from these single-use products, particularly in developing and emerging markets. This is difficult on so many levels, but fundamentally, we need better control of these materials across all industries. The global issues with plastics were complex and challenging enough before COVID-19. In these uncertain times, the risk to the waste and recycling sectors is even greater, especially in the developing economies. So what does that mean for companies producing these materials? here are just a few things that I think are coming clear to us. For one, companies aren't backsliding. They're continuing to push forward with their pursuit of ambitious goals and back the critical commitments that they've already made. The investment community, they're doubling down on sustainability. We're hearing from them, companies that commit to sustainability through this crisis will come out stronger. And then finally, the programs on plastic reduction, waste, and new sustainable materials must remain committed to solving the marine litter issues and linked to brand purpose. So our choice is clear. We know that we must lead in this effort. We must build the ambitions and the goals to take this head on, because the risks are becoming clearer. Governments and policymakers all over the world are imposing regulations that are governing plastics, including up to the banning of products and packaging of certain types. This has grown from 3 countries in 2003 to over 100 countries currently. And those are regulations that apply at a national level, not just the municipal or city-based regulations. And the range of these approaches is overwhelmingly complex and really hard to react to. So again, it's time for the businesses and producers to step up to the plate once again and tackle these challenges with practical and pragmatic solutions and models, circular models that make lives and communities better. So I'll hand it over to Dan, my colleague, to talk a bit more about that ambition and some of the work we're doing in that area.
Yeah, thanks, John. And the headline here really says it all based off of what you just went through is really that waste has no place in business or in tomorrow's circular economy. So as we think about our post-consumer waste ambition as we go forward, first and foremost, we're working to connect it to tackle some of these bigger global issues. So on the right-hand side of this page, you'll see a reference to the Sustainable Development Goal of responsible consumption and production. So really, as we think about the role that and impact that Kimberly-Clark has as a global company, we have to make sure that we're paying attention to some of these higher challenges that are going on outside of our 4 walls. So we've got to continue to focus on reducing our plastics footprint, and we're going to do that by delivering solutions that use more renewable materials and can be regenerated after use. So what this really means is, in plain terms, is how can we find ways to recycle, reuse, and find secondary alternatives for our materials after they've been used, and really finding a home for them to ensure they're not going out into the environment or being landfilled. And so we're going to lead that with a 3-pronged approach of driving innovation in product, packaging, and circular systems. And I'll go through those a bit further in some of the next slides. So John, if you want to go to the next one. So as we think about our ambition, again, we have these 3 priority work streams of packaging, product, and circular systems. For our packaging, we want to focus on designing with recyclable, reusable, renewable, or when needed, compostable materials. And an example of that I'll take you through later is how we're deploying recycled content in our Kimberly-Clark professional packaging. So we think about our product design aspects, we're going to continue to shift to using more renewable materials and also reduce our consumption of traditional plastics. So these are your primarily focused on your virgin and fossil fuel-based materials. We're also going to design materials to be either recyclable or biodegradable to provide secondary value to post-consumer waste. And I'll take you through an example of how our baby care business is leading the way forward in this category. When we think about those 2 together, as a company, we can't just have responsible design on our products and packaging. We have to complement those with a circular system, because it's not enough to just design a material to be recyclable. You have to identify opportunities and enable ways for it to actually be recycled. So this is where we really focus in on developing business models to enable responsible management of our products after use. And this is how we're going to go into talking about KCP's RightCycle program later in this deck. John, next slide. So here, this is an example of packaging. So if we think about a lot of the materials that Kimberly-Clark uses for our packaging, we do have a lot of flexible films and bags. And so one focus area for us going forward is trying to increase our usage of recycled content in those materials while still maintaining the recyclability of them post-use. And so what you're looking at here is a success story of our Latin America business and KCP, where they launched 30% recycled content within their packaging. The really neat that most folks don't realize about this is that the materials that are used for recycled were actually recovered at our own facilities. So we collected stretch wrap and other packaging materials, sent those to a supplier to be repurposed again, and use those back into our packaging. So it's a really great example of a circular system within our own operations. The next slide, John. So as I mentioned before, on the product side, this is a great example of a program that our Huggies team launched. We believe that no parent should have to compromise between caring for their baby and caring for the environment. So as we think about what this campaign is really delivering, it's delivering on a product innovation as well as a promise. And that is that we want not only our packaging to be recyclable, but we're also going to be aiming to eliminate our plastic out of our wipes within 5 years or sooner if we can. And so not only are we focused on that longer term plan, but we've also shown that currently in the market, we already have less plastic in our materials than our larger competitors, as well as continuing to reduce that amount of plastic this year, where we took it down by already 15%. So if you think about Huggies product out there versus others, the infographic you see there is you can already save 63 plastic bottles equivalent of that amount of plastic by using Huggies versus the leading brands. So as we think about our innovation pathways going forward, it's really focused on these two fronts of responsible and recyclable materials and packaging and product. So we're going to go to the next slide, and I'll kick it back over to John to talk more about the circular solutions.
Awesome, thanks, Dan. And so to close out the three pillars of our program, I'll talk a bit about the RightCycle program in the context of a circular system. This program is particularly close to me. I've been part of this since the beginning in 2010, and when it was launched in 2011. And thinking back to when it was developed, it was really built on a collaboration with our customers, specifically customers that were looking for landfill-free solutions for used non-hazardous PPE. And having that knowledge of how we were applying the similar reduce, reuse, recycle concepts internally, and knowing that those same capabilities could be leveraged in creating this program was really exciting to see from a sustainability professional that spent his whole career working within the company, to now be able to take those capabilities to help our customers was really exciting. The program itself was focused on non-haz single-use nitrile gloves, apparel items, as well as more recently safety eyewear. The ability to take those materials back, being that they were so challenging to recycle through normal channels, and get those back through a process of reverse logistics and into a consumer good, was just a really exciting evolution for us in the development of the program. We didn't do it by ourselves. We had some existing strategic partners that were involved in managing and recycling some of our manufacturing and production waste, but we also had to build new partnerships. And one of those I just touched on real briefly is such an exciting part of the program, is the partner that's providing employment opportunities for disabled and disadvantaged workers, and seeing how that relationship has grown and how we've kind of played a role in their development, and they've played a major role in the development of this program, has been really exciting to see from my perspective. Also, nothing from the program is exported. The processing, the recycling, the conversion of those recyclable materials into raw material in a plastic pellet form, and the making of new products, it's all done in the United States. So it's been a really exciting program, and one that, in my global role and working on circular systems and projects related to post-consumer waste, we've leveraged the learnings from the RightCycle program in all of our businesses, whether it's composting a dirty diaper in New Zealand or any of the other programs that we've done around the world over the years. We typically always reference back and point back to our learnings from RightCycle. It's really a good example, and why we shared it here was because it ties together a lot of the elements that that we're growing and building on into our next set of sustainability ambitions. So this, in closing, I guess I'll leave with a question, and it's really, what do we want our future to be? From my perspective, I answer that question. It has to be good for her and the planet. For us, being responsible includes design, sourcing, manufacturing, and a plan for post-product use. In other words, it's the responsibility crosses our entire value chain. Specifically to our work, for Dan and I, we're committed to reducing our plastics footprint by delivering innovation in the 3 areas that we've been talking about: product, packaging, and systems. To do this, we'll leverage our expertise in material science and innovation, as well as continue to build on the strategic partnerships that we've developed and will continue to develop in the future. The realization, though, is clear to us: no one person or one company can do this alone. And as an industry, we have to collaborate and work together to innovate, much like we did for the development of RightCycle, to share and solve this complex issue. That's all we had. I really appreciate the time to be able to share this, and I'll look forward to any questions or comments in the Q&A session later. But now I'll hand it over to Kate Stanley from KCP Scientific.
Thank you, John and Daniel. My name is Kate Stanley, and I am the Kimberly-Clark Scientific Account Manager for New England. As you may recall, Kristen Roosevelt speaking about the great relationship between Thermo Fisher Scientific and MassBio, Kimberly-Clark and Fisher Scientific also share a strong partnership. In 2019, Kimberly-Clark RightCycle participants recycled 312 tons of Kimberly-Clark PPE. Of that 312 tons, Fisher Scientific customers were responsible for diverting 125 tons. Not to mention the fact that Thermo Fisher Scientific as a company themselves recycled 20 tons just in 2019 alone. One of our strongest and most successful mutual customers in the program is Millipore Sigma of Danvers, Mass. Millipore Sigma is a leader in providing solutions and services for biotech and pharmaceutical drug therapies. As a global organization with more than 300,000 products and 50,000 employees across more than 60 countries, they understand the importance of managing the environmental impact of their operations. They actively integrate a focus on sustainability throughout all phases of the product lifecycle, from design and manufacturing to packaging, distribution, and recycling. Millipore Sigma has been a true partner of MassBio, Fisher Scientific, and Kimberly-Clark, especially when it comes to sustainability. The Danvers site has been honored with our Green Innovation Award 4 years in a row for their outstanding efforts to successfully recycle a significant volume of their solid waste. From their first shipment of gloves back in 2014, Millipore Sigma has grown the program in their facility, recycling over 64,000 pounds, and that's just in less than 6 years. That's roughly 3 tractor-trailer loads full of gloves. So next, I am pleased to introduce our next speaker from Millipore Sigma, Environmental Health and Safety Engineer, Jameson Wentworth, to discuss the RightCycle program and how it's made an impact on their sustainability efforts. Jameson?
Thank you, Kate. Hi, my name is Jameson Wentworth, and I work for Millipore Sigma, and I wanted to share some of our experiences with a RightCycle program at Danvers, Mass facility, where we manufacture single-use plastic bag assemblies for pharmaceuticals to conduct research and development and other medical applications. So our products are made in a clean room environment, so it kind of adds an exciting element to our workplace. Next slide, please. So these are just some of our numbers through 2014 to present date of our yearly totals in nitrile gloves that we recycle. So it's exciting. I wasn't I was employed by Millipore Sigma in 2014 when the company started this program, but I started in 2016 and since then have been an active member in the program. So it's exciting to see these numbers grow. You know, approximately 32.4 tons diverted nitrile gloves from the landfill or and/or waste in energy. So exciting program for our site. Next slide, please. So some factors that were helped decide Millipore Sigma on joining the RightCycle program is we are ISO 14001 certified. So this program identified solid waste in an area where we can make a large impact with little effort, sorry. The amount of gloves that we use in a day-to-day process, it seemed like a no-brainer. And also other peers at Millipore Sigma locations with small labs are already enrolled in the RightCycle program, having great success. So we wanted to implement on a large scale, and we had the means to do so. So some lesson learned from our participation. So we have a very diverse workplace at the Danvers site, and protecting the environment is very important for our company, but it's also a value across cultural and socioeconomic boundaries. And you know, seeing our employees take that enjoyment and making a huge difference on our day-to-day recycling activities. So this picture is from one of our Earth Day events when we were presented the Green Innovation Award. So these items are posted throughout the facility to show our pride with this recycling program we have. Next slide, please. So some advice for implementing these you know, recycling programs that have a huge impact on, you know, the environment is just to make sure that there's a clear system in place. We train our new hires as soon as we onboard them about this awesome recycling program, so they're immediately in the mix. And we have periodic reminders that are posted throughout the site showing our recycling numbers on a yearly basis. So it's most important to focus on the difference that the employees are making. That will help with the involvement in the recycling. We also have benches, planters, and posters throughout the site to show the employees our tremendous success. So it's very important that standing at the bins and reminding people is not effective. So the best way is coaching with our peers and supervisors and making sure that everybody plays a role in this recycling program. So, I mean, continued advice would be to implement it. It's worth it. And, you know, knowing the impact it has in the environment and knowing how much waste can be diverted from a landfill is a good feeling at the end of the day. And Millipore Sigma is committed to environmental compliance and reduction of impact on the environment. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Jameson, to you and Millipore Sigma for making a positive impact to our community and environment. For anyone interested to learn more about RightCycle, please feel free to reach out to me. I would now like to send it back to Craig and open it up for anyone that has any questions for the panelists today. Craig?
Oh, if anyone has any questions, they can use the Q&A feature or the chat. Kate's information is there, Kristen's information is there, and my information is there. I did want to add one thing, that I am live from the MassBio Hub at the MassBio headquarters in Cambridge. This facility is able to host and produce virtual events for folks, similar to the event that we had here today. And I can kind of show you a little bit of the room that I am. We have many rooms like this that are AV capable, so that you could host and produce an event, like I said, similar to this. So I'll kind of give you a little bit of view. So obviously we're practicing social distancing. You know, we wear masks. We decontaminate the facility hourly. So we have COVID protocols, and like I said, we use social distancing to help our members host events similar to this. But again, if anyone has any questions, we'll hang on here for the next couple of minutes. We also recorded this this webinar, so we will you know, cut it up and share it through our marketing and social media channels in the near future. So again, thanks again for everyone for their time today. If anyone has questions about next steps and how to take advantage of Kimberly-Clark or Fisher Scientific, you have our information. And then Panos, we can just kind of hang on for the next couple minutes if anyone has any questions, but if not, I wish everyone a happy 4th of July weekend in the next couple of weeks and enjoy the beautiful weather that is out there wherever you are. And